Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Cult Classic Podcast. Cameron Jones here, along with my co-host,
Mark Nussle.
Jordan Jones.
We're actually giving you the 1994 movie, Forrest Gump. Slow-witted Forrest Gump has never thought of himself as disadvantaged, and thanks to his supportive mother, he leads anything but a restricted life. Whether dominating as a college football star, fighting in Vietnam, or captaining a shrimp boat, Forrest inspires people with his childlike optimism. But one person Forrest cares about most may be the most difficult to save. His childhood love, the sweet but troubled Jenny. Follow the amazing life of a simple man from Greenbow, Alabama. Traverse through modern American history with Forrest Gump.
Directed by Robert Zemeckis, the guy who brought you Back to the Future, Castaway, Flight. Starring Tom Hanks, Robin Wright, Sally Field, McClelty Williamson, Gary Sinise.
This movie has a great soundtrack. It's up there with Remember the Titans. Only Homer J. Simpson has done more things with his life. Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump.
Alrighty, cast and crew. Forrest Gump, another Robert Zemeckis film that we've done. We've done Back to the Future.
Did all three.
The whole series.
Go back and check that.
Did we do Castaway?
Maybe not. I don't know.
I don't think we have. I think we just talk about it a lot. We've definitely done Monster House, which is maybe my favorite on the list.
Monster House is a good animated Halloween one. And then Jordan's favorite animated Christmas ones, Polar Express and the Scrooge one.
Give me Tom Hanks.
Scrooge
give
one's
me a
not
lot
bad.
of them. Give Jim Carrey. Give me a lot of them.
Scrooge one's bad. Can we agree that Scrooge one's bad?
Oh, you didn't
No,
see
it's
it
not,
in
actually.
3D, did you? Did you? You didn't
No,
see it on
you
Thanksgiving weekend when it came out, did you? You didn't.
Mark, it was the heyday of the 3D movies again.
Top cast, we've got Tom Hanks.
I mean, some of the movies we already said, Polar Express, Castaway.
We just did.
Oh shit, we
Apollo
did.
13.
You've Got Mail forever ago.
Yeah, we did.
Are we just listing the Tom Hanks movies? We did The Burbs.
That we've done.
We did You've Got
Oh,
Mail.
yeah.
We've
my God.
done That Thing You Do.
Big.
We've done Big. We've done this.
League of Their
We
Own.
just did Apollo 13.
done
We
like
did a League
10
of Their
Tom
Own.
Hanks
This
videos.
is why if you're playing at home and you're like, oh, I want to play 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon or 7 degrees, whatever it is, get Tom Hanks. Boom, you're done. And it's easy because there's a shit ton of movies.
True.
Robin Wright. Jordan, pop quiz. What's Robin Wright in?
As you wish. I believe it's Princess Bride, right? Princess Buttercup.
That is correct.
And we haven't done House of Cards, and that's pretty much all I know Robin Wright from. I think she
Took some breaks
here and there, right? She wanted to raise a family or something. Per capita, though, she's done 2 movies, and we've done both of them.
True.
Yeah, for us, yeah. Sally Field is Mrs. Gump.
The whole time. Go back and listen to our Mrs. Doubtfire.
Mrs. Doubtfire.
I actually didn't realize. I haven't watched Forrest Gump in maybe 10 years.
It's been a
Probably
while.
same. She's got to be Mount Rushmore of has been playing 20 years older than she's been her whole life. Because she's probably. I didn't look it up for the podcast. I'll get to it. There's no way she's.
I'll get to the fact. She's pretty close in age.
Can't be that far off.
McKelty Williamson plays Bubba. I don't really recognize him from too much.
I'm afraid he fell victim to being typecast as, hey, that's Bubba. Even though there's no way that he talks like that, has that gum. You know what I mean? I think it kind of just plagued him.
He's in Fences.
Oh, yeah. I think he plays.
He's also in the sequel of The Purge.
So there you go.
But yeah, nothing
major.
too notable besides his main role here. Gary Sinise plays Lieutenant Dan.
You would know him also from some Stephen King stuff, but also with Tom Hanks in The Green Mile, also with Tom Hanks in Apollo 13. And there's another one.
It's loosely as unofficially a trilogy as a Cornetto trilogy. These 3 movies, albeit in no way related, are sort of period pieces.
That's a good way
Tom
to put
Hanks.
it. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And his performance in Green Mile is definitely the world's end. You're like, it's loose, but it's a trilogy.
But he's in there. Yeah, I'll agree with Mark. There is like a wider cast, obviously, because this spans decades. But as far as like the main characters, it's a pretty tight cast.
Tight cast, which is great. For
the way IMDb puts it is like characters in order. So you don't get Bubba, you don't get Lieutenant Dan until like a few scrolls down, which, I should have known, but
I have a funny fact on that later. I'll get to in question comments.
Sobin Fallen Hogan is Dorothy, the bus driver. You're going to want to go back and listen to our Men in Black episode.
The red hair?
She's the
Character actor, comedian.
Yeah, she's the one who needs new drapes and a new life after her husband gets killed by a cockroach.
The first time we see the flashy thing. Kind of.
Sugar and water.
On that note, we're going to move it on to Unverified. Welcome to the Cult Classic Movie Phone. It's July 6th, 1994, and currently in theaters you could have seen True Lies with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I didn't.
A movie we'll probably end up doing at some point. I mean, really all of Arnold's movies probably deserve to be on a Cult Classic list.
Yeah, I think I missed it.
The Mask with Jim Carrey and Cameron Diaz.
Somebody
Probably the one Mark actually went to, I'd guess.
I think so.
But he probably went to it on a free weekend 2 years later in Manchester. Not opening weekend.
A matinee.
He went to it
at 2 p.m. Yeah, at 2 p.m. free popcorn type of situation.
He went to it in 1996.
3-4 is a little young. It Could Happen to You with Kevin Costner. Never seen it. I just know the title.
I don't know that one. I don't even know that one.
The Client with Tommy Lee Jones. Black Beauty.
Black Beauty was straight to video.
Actually, Black Beauty was straight to your rained out recesses.
Yeah,
like just toss on Black Beauty, guys.
Everybody saw
Black
Beauty.
Yes. Once you see the fucking TV roll in, it's like we're
Angels in the Outfield with Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Oh,
I'm gonna put a finger up.
There's a good chance.
Go back and
listen.
Go back and listen to our Angels.
Never done it.
Oh wait, no, sorry, not Angels. We've never done it.
Rookie of the Year and another one, Lassie, the live action movie. Good chance you were there.
Yeah.
That's for younger kids, Bark. We were 3-4, but luckily you chose Forrest Gump.
I'll get you started off with the box office.
Let's go
you tell me if this is a hit. And again, is this their $55 million budget, which seems, given the fact that they had so much CGI in 1994, very low. Mm-hmm. Box office was $678 million.
Holy shit.
And I assume that's total at this point. I don't know.
Incredible.
It couldn't be for the year of 1994. So anyway,
it won Best
shit ton
Picture
of money.
in 90.
Yeah, do you have a list of what it was all up for and what it won? I'm guessing Best Adaptation.
Oh, I do actually.
Probably up there.
Jordan, do you have that?
I'm guessing.
No, you can get it. But this is one of those controversials with the scope of like perspective. Should it have beaten some of these films that we're about to list? This is like the all-time. It was up against 4 Weddings and a Funeral. Weird.
Yeah.
Quiz Show. Pretty underrated movie.
Sure.
Shawshank Redemption, Pulp Fiction, and Forrest Gump. And
it lost to two of them.
Yeah,
In
Pulp
my
Fiction,
opinion.
Shawshank are probably the heavier hitters.
yeah,
for me.
they're better movies. But we'll get into this coming up. But like Forrest Gump was.
It might be 2. It's definitely 3.
Shawshank's the best, though, right? Best movie. Don't
Yeah,
you think?
probably in the list, I'd say. The scene where Forrest is up at the Vietnam rally in Washington and the cords are plugged to his microphone. What Tom Hanks said during that silence was, sometimes when you go to Vietnam, they go home to their mom without any legs. Sometimes they don't go home at all. That's a bad thing. That's all I have to say about that. And that's
sometimes, furthermore, they get the Congressional Medal of Honor.
That's what he said.
But from that, the guy said to him, "It's like, wow, man, you said it all." Jordan, just kind of on some of your budget stuff. The studio was having huge issues with even this kind of limited budget, and they were imposing like cuts that they wanted. They wanted to cut out all of Vietnam. They wanted to cut out, like, there was like 3 major plot points.
This is the longest part.
They wanted to cut out
Besides the
Vietnam
fucking
and the shrimp boat. They didn't know how that fit into this man's life story. But instead, Robert Zemeckis and Tom Hanks
Sorry.
No, yeah,
Cam,
they had to
cut out the.
they had other parts
cut
too.
out the 40 minutes at the end.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Everything is good up until the end.
But thankfully, Zemeckis and Hanks pulled together and they just waived a huge part of their fee. And instead, though, they did get huge percentage points on the film, which netted somewhere in the region of $40 million at the time for box office. So still pretty good.
The greatest example of taking points from the profits of the movie for a lesser salary, I think, was Jack Nicholson for Batman when he played Joker. I heard he made an absurd amount of money on that.
Because of that, I'd always take points, but I'm going to be part of a weird project that's never seen, so like it doesn't matter.
It won Best Actor, Tom Hanks, Best Picture, Best Directors, Robert Zemeckis, Best Visual Effects, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Film Editing. It swept
everything.
Yeah, it swept.
And that's one of those controversial things. Not quite as bad as Shakespeare in Love in 1999 or other years, but it just beats some all-time
Gary Sinise
great
was
movies.
Nominated.
This is actually something I learned. You said Best Adapted Screenplay. This is based off the 1986 title, the 1986 novel Forrest Gump.
Oh, novel, yes.
Yeah, it's like a straight-up novel, and it is based off a book, saw that it had... Well, it's a pretty similar story, but I saw that it had like 6 more miraculous storylines that they could have squeezed in.
Also,
you a reader?
There was a follow-up to Forrest.
Illiterate.
Listener, can't read.
Can't read anything.
He may not be a smart man, but he knows what love is.
I know what love is. That actually surprisingly... It kind of hurt. I'm like, oh man, Jenny, come on.
We'll get to that in a second. We'll get to it.
All right. Well, you brought it up. I didn't.
2 just like little Easter eggs just to keep your eye out for. Just kind of fun. When he's learning ping pong and he says the trick is to never take your eye off the ball. In any scene after that where Tom Hanks is playing ping pong, he doesn't blink, which
he never
impressive. And number 2, just
I saw him do it initially where he was like just like darting, like
which is funny. But I didn't pay attention to the rest of him. And then this is just every transition into a new age and a new era. Forrest Gump is always seen starting at least in that blue plaid shirt. So that's just kind of how we signify each new jump.
Oh.
Which I mean, if you think about it, it is like there is a Forrest Gump costume of like a blue
it's gotta be
plaid
stinky,
shirt.
Right, Jordan?
What? I think it's different.
Just the smell of the shirt.
Well, I'll tell you what. As many times as you wash it, and I believe that he would, it gets stinky quick.
Yeah,
it's just quick.
It's Greenbow, Alabama. It looks very hot, which is a fictitious place. Alabama. I feel like we do have to talk about this here, that it was kind of controversial, his accent at the time. I don't want to put it like in the same category as Benoit Blanc from Knives Out, but it is oddly absurd. But Tom Hanks did initially sign to this saying he wants everything to be historically accurate, except for he did not want to do the Southern accent being played also as like a mentally slow person. So he was saying like this might all be kind of like
careful, tiptoe.
So he was obviously a little against it, but he got pushed into it by Zemeckis, and he actually modeled his accent off the boy that plays young Forrest Gump. That's just his voice.
What? Elizabeth Hanks was a girl on the school bus being rude.
I'm gonna say she was can't sit here. I think she's also in.
She was the can't sit here girl.
I think she's also in That Thing You Do. Yeah, usually in a Hanks production, you get some Hanks in there. You get some other Hanks.
Only person you don't get is Chet Hanks, that motherfucker, that piece of shit. What's his name?
Even though I'm not a Jones, could I be in a Jones production?
Yeah, you get your,
Yeah, you are. You're right now. You're in the Majestic Jam podcast now.
Yeah, you already did it.
Depends on what I do, I guess.
You already did it, man. We're in a band. Yeah,
you're gonna be. You're gonna be in our adapted screenplay of The Bigot. You'll be our bigot. We'll get you in there somewhere.
I'm the bigot.
You're just the bigot.
We talked about some of the CGI things that were kind of groundbreaking at the time, but I mean, I do remember at the time the feather at the beginning was a big deal, how realistic that looked, but that still doesn't look too bad now.
It was all Lieutenant Dan's legs. I actually distinctly remember
specials,
an Oprah Winfrey show special, like a whole, like, I can't believe you guys pulled this off. And, we'll get into whether or not it aged well and what we think about it.
Good on him. Gary Sinise, after this, he did start the Lieutenant Dan Foundation that they've been able to raise up to $30 million per year, and they have 12 private
$30 million per year
or something like that which raises up to $30 million per year, and they have 12 private jets that they use to fly veterans and sick kids around to locations around the world.
He has to have zero clue where that money's going.
I can tell you one place, private jets.
That's true.
The Jets.
And one more thing, Gary Sinise also tours around with USO tours in the Lieutenant Dan band. Which I have heard. I have heard that.
Harmonica.
I think guitar. I think he's a guitar singer.
There's for sure harmonica in there.
Yeah,
I guarantee you they're going to do a rendition of Fortunate Son.
A lot of CCR, a lot of Leonard.
Ain't no fortunate son. Yeah.
Yes, that's correct, Jordan.
I do want to briefly talk about the fact that this came from source material, because after the success of the movie, there was a Forrest Gump 2 written in which Forrest meets Tom Hanks, and the movie Forrest Gump exists within the realm of the book, so it gets a bit meta.
Young Forrest?
No, like in Forrest Gump 2, the book, there's been a documentary about Forrest Gump movie release starring Tom Hanks, and he meets Tom Hanks. And it gets Ocean's 11 on us a bit.
Some meta bullshit.
Yeah. Well, also though, I shit you not, I believe the plot was supposed to be that Forrest Gump's going to be an astronaut who goes to space, so it gets a little wackier. But what I've always heard though is
so it's in the same universe as.
It's Apollo 13.
Yeah,
Apollo 13.
Which also I think
Jordan's correct.
Maybe a little too close to home, or maybe they're just trying to cut down some costs of budget.
I do believe the 1986 novel, though, he is an astronaut.
Well, he's
I believe
lived 1,000 lives.
To the just an astronaut. There's one thing I want to bring up later.
Oh, but the one thing I was going to say, the one thing I always heard about was that this was actually, they were going to make a Forrest Gump 2. There was talk in production, but after
Forrest Gump 2 sounds so
weird, yeah. Well, especially because it takes us out of the past,
Forrest
and it would all be,
2.
it'd be present day Forrest. It would just be all the present second half that sucks. But
it would have been great though. He would have been like hanging out with Bill Clinton right before he got his blowjob and doing all crazy.
Yeah, right. He was.
In fact, you should make this every 15 years.
He made
Just
the call to
re-up.
George Bush in the classroom.
Yeah, but he's the one that brings him, like, interrupts.
He
the story
definitely
time.
would have been on George W. Bush's like we did it like
yeah. But the reason I always heard that the movie stopped production is after 9/11 happened. Like they just said,
they actually started production on it.
Well, they were working on it. They were writing stuff up, but
Okay.
they just said after 9/11, America just couldn't like exist in a world where Forrest Gump was out there. Like the suspense of believability.
No, I think that's when we needed it more. When we got
Possibly.
Osama bin Laden, guess who was there? Forrest Gump. It just keep it coming.
But to talk about the significance of this movie, selected by the Library of Congress, preservation as being culturally historical or aesthetically significant. We've had quite a few movies pop on this list, but I've also seen it listed. This is also listed as the 11th greatest movie of all time.
By the AFI Top 100?
Let's talk about Top 100. It's in the 100, I think. Right, Jordan? Can you agree with that?
It's a pretty major movie. It's top 100. Yeah, top 10. I don't know.
It's right around 50.
There's so many classic movies.
I think.
Casablanca.
It's hard to say what is.
Just another Easter egg to look out for. This is kind of a funny one. Every time there's a still picture of Forrest Gump in the movie, his eyes are closed. Just an extra little.
It's still like I go by the AFI Top 100 list just as like a barometer, and they're ranking. They rebooted one. They have a 10th year anniversary one. The last time they published it was 1999, I think. And they have Forrest Gump as the 76th best movie of all time. You know, like how can you rank them? But it is on their list.
How do you rank it that point?
Well,
that's a good point.
Well, I agree with, the first thing, it's historically relevant. It was such a big release at the time that, like, even if maybe it's not the best movie, it was so significant that, it's on there. This is when Tom Hanks appeared in the Actors Studio with James Lipton. But Lipton was trying to get him to perform can you say the life is like a box of chocolates? And Tom Hanks said, no matter who it is now, I will not do that line or any Forrest Gump lines. It's like asking De Niro, are you talking to me? And he says he's just never going to do it for anybody ever again.
We all do it, though, don't we?
Yeah, everybody's going to ask.
Yeah, we all do it.
He's not going to do it. And then also, I wanted to get your thoughts on this. In the original script, and they did shoot this, young Jenny kills her father by releasing a tractor handbrake that runs him over and tears him up in a cornfield.
A what? A what?
A tractor, a corn, like a
tractor.
A corn, in like a corn harvester, and it
combine.
Yeah. So in the original, they shot the scene where young Jenny kills her father and then gets moved away, but it tested real bad with test audiences that they never found her redeeming after that. They just hated her.
Never loved it. Don't love that. Don't love that she died.
You can see that deleted scene in the 25th anniversary Blu-ray.
Oh my god!
Is that for real? They have
I told you they shot the scene. They have.
I'm gonna search that out.
I gotta see that shit. I do want to see it. I don't want to see it, but
we should point out that this is the rare, if any time. There's a lot of 2-time Oscar winners and maybe a 3-time Oscar winner, but Tom Hanks won back-to-back Oscars with Philadelphia the year before and Forrest Gump.
Then Castaway,
93 and 94.
Well, that's quite a bit after that. Never mind. There's a gap. The last fact I have here, and I remember hearing this at the time, but the Vietnam napalm scene, that was real. They used a bunch of explosives in South Carolina. They were clearing a lot that was going to end up being a golf course. But famously, Robert Zemeckis was in the bathroom on the John, and he missed the explosion and was furious that he missed it.
Oh my god! The war scene is stunning. It's actually really good.
It's sneaky one of my favorite Vietnam War movies, but it's not a Vietnam War movie.
It's long too. It's 25 minutes, I think.
It's a long. Yeah, but a Vietnam War movie is 686 minutes normally.
Well, this isn't a Nam movie.
Yeah, it's true. It's not a Nam. Probably only the second shortest amount of Nam depiction on the small screen or big screen. This is about, what, 20 minutes? But I'll tell you what, you do any better than Quantum Leap's Nam episode. And
that's true.
I kudos to you.
That's true.
Toss it on there. I didn't get that out quick.
This movie has a million facts. It was a huge, iconic thing. So, I'm sure you can find a million things for us. And please do write in at Cult Classics Pod and cultclassicspodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to know some of these facts. But we're going to move it on to questions.
Comments.
Animosities.
Questions, comments, animosity.
QCA, questions, comments, animosity. First thing, just comment. I'm not sure what I watched this on, but they credited John Lennon as the third actor in this film.
That can't be correct.
It was Tom Hanks, Gary Sinise, and John Lennon.
Would they credit Nixon too?
No, John Lennon is in the movie though.
Yeah,
and Kennedy.
So weird. Just that's all.
And no possessions too. Where do you want to start? God, this.
Okay, let me just.
I'll start by making a blanket statement. I hadn't seen this movie like you, Mark, for about 10 years, right?
Sure.
This movie is so quotable, and it was everywhere. This was one of the biggest movies I think of our childhood.
How many quotes were in there.
I mean, honestly,
I forgot about always stupid is or stupid is as stupid does. Forgot about that.
Well, I think part of it was this movie was just caught everyone because it was so weird. Could this movie get made today? Because just what a wild concept, kind of.
Oh, you're saying could they reboot it? That is something. I think you should just keep this character going and just reboot him anytime.
Hear me
Start
out.
him in the 1800s.
Forrest Gump, but it's Haley Joel Osment as the young Forrest.
Oh, that'd be rough. It might actually be awesome. Adult Haley Joel Osment, I'm in.
Just a regular.
Anytime he shows up,
regular full functioning Haley Joel Osment, who is raised by a not fully functioning Tom Hanks.
Unfortunately, no, they don't make movies like this anymore, which are weird, unique character pieces, stories. One, they wouldn't make it even for $55 million.
True.
But if this movie does exist, it's released straight to a streaming platform. It's not a theatrical release, right?
No, not anymore. Can't be. Just couldn't be. I mean, even then,
it's also not going to have a big director and a big star.
I mean, even then, though, they were cutting the budget and being the studio was this is weird and we don't believe in this. So, I mean, they were wrong, but.
Looking back at it, though, I can't believe this was a hit. I can't believe this is huge. It's weird.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Where in the T. Hanks lineup is this?
Actually after he started doing dramatic work. Obviously the year before or
after Big.
Couple years before. After Big and stuff, but he kind of
Story is right there, I think.
Oddly enough, I think Toy Story did come out in 1994.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
Philadelphia came out the year before. He won an Oscar. This was his follow-up film, won an Oscar.
Interesting.
And then I'd say right now, Castaway's like in 97 or 98, right?
I think,
it's
a
in
few
the
years
90s still.
Yeah,
But I'd say that he's on the beginning of the run of, oh my God, you're seeing every Tom Hanks, $20 million actor movie, box office success, perennial seat at the Oscars. We're at the beginning of that run.
Well, first off, just comment. I'm never hearing a single one of these stories from Forrest Gump because this is my nightmare. Sitting on a bus, and then someone's just like, "Hey,
how long's
I'm
Forrest
going to
been
keep
sitting
talking to you nonstop, hours."
I think real time is however long he's been telling us the story.
I think so. I think he's
been
been there for
hours.
2:20.
Yeah, 2:20.
Six buses went by, right?
The first lady
how many How many people did he sit by? 4 or 5?
4 or 5.
Yeah.
Easy.
Well, actually, maybe just
Just
three.
that we saw.
We have the older black lady at the beginning. We have the old white
Yep.
lady, and we have the guy that's like, I don't believe you, who walks away. I think we just have like 3.
But he has the mom. He has the mom. Is like, when Wallace got shot, I was in college. He's like, hey, shut the fuck up. I'm about to get back to Jenny.
Well, I'll tell you
Also, these chocolates.
Well, here's my animosity. If any of these stories that Forrest Gump were telling were true, he would be a national celebrity for everyone would know who he is. Like, oh, you're the shrimp captain, Vietnam War hero, college football star,
He is.
investor in Mac. Yeah, but you would know him. You would know who Forrest Gump is.
Yeah, but do you know the fucking...
Okay.
If he's
Guinness
also
Book of World Records
all of
pogo
those
stick
people-
guy? No, you don't.
No, but if he was 6 other of those people too, I'd be like, oh, wow.
True.
I did think about that, right? I did think about that. Name me one Congressional Medal of Honor winner. Oh, wait, you can't. Name me...
He's somebody on like
an
Tosh.0.
All-American... Name me an All-American punt returner from 30 years ago. Oh, wait, you can't.
Devin
You know what I
Hester.
mean?
Okay.
He does live an impressive life, but it is behind the
That's
scenes.
actually a great point, Jordan. We're not talking about his collegiate football career enough.
No, he was an All-American football player.
He met 3 different presidents, I'm pretty sure, in our time here. Like, he did big things, at least. So, like, granted, access to information.
Accomplished a lot in a bunch
Internet's-
of different presidencies.
Internet's not there, really. So, I mean, like, you know, like, we couldn't have fact-checked this, but... or
Speaking of
looked around.
internet, had his apples in Apple.
He had some money in an Apple company as well.
Yeah, but in
Crazy.
1991, nobody knew what the fuck Apple was unless you were a teacher.
Or you
Well,
were Lieutenant
he did.
Dan. Lieutenant Dan.
Yeah.
Well,
something.
yeah, he got lucky.
Dan
Okay,
did.
no, I do want
Got
to
himself
piggyback
some
off that.
legs.
I do want to piggyback off that point, Cameron, because I think it's maybe somebody on the bench would have known him, but I assume they would have all thought that he was lying to them.
Well, this is
Full-
all...
full
and
yard.
What?
This is all in Alabama, too, though. Alabama would remember this college hero.
Yeah,
this
he
Weddle-
would be a hero.
Yeah. In the area? Yeah, 100%.
But you know what annoys me the most about Forrest Gump and his accomplishments? It's when he's running across the country.
Mm-hmm.
Jenny's working in the diner, and we see them reporting on him. And they're like, a groundskeeper from Greenbow, Alabama. It's like, okay.
Do a little
you missed the
research.
fact. You guys are the news. You're reporting on him. You didn't find out that he was an All-American football player, Congressional Medal of Honor, the CEO of Bubba Gump Shrimp.
the Gump
Come on.
Bubba
Some asshole in the 40s named him Forrest.
Based off of Birth of a Nation, right? That's what that.
Oh
clip
yeah,
is.
I
Google
forgot.
that.
I forgot the whole
That's a bummer.
KKK part.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Pretty not great
I really
origins.
forgot about that part.
I'll tell you honestly, maybe also pretty big animosity of this movie. Life is not like a box of chocolates, because if you look at the top, Forrest, there's usually a list that tells you exactly what flavors you're going to get.
I know when I'm grabbing a caramel and when I'm grabbing a cherry.
Coconut.
I think you're. I think coconut. Cameron, I think you're right there.
He was
Yeah.
not a smart man. Okay, well, question to you guys though: What's your favorite decade? What's your favorite scene? What's your favorite plot line? This has like 4 different movies within itself, but like, which is your favorite Forrest Gump movie within it?
The
I
60s.
love pre-war. Yeah, I think Jordan's right.
I think the Vietnam period is my favorite, from boot camp through like the end of like.
It's because you like the music.
Partly, but also
think.
it's action packed too. It has some of the more heart pulling.
The music's good, but I also think that it has your core relationships there. He has Bubba,
True.
and we meet Lieutenant Dan, right?
Yeah, that's
N40
true.
is sad, so let's just scrap that. Let's just forget about it, right?
Of which one?
part?
N40,
Oh yeah, that's all a bummer.
Wait, which part?
beginning
The
42. Anyways,
he's saying the last 40 minutes of the movie.
Oh, the
like,
N40.
get it out of
I
here.
think the
Gotcha,
N40.
sorry.
Yeah,
The
no,
N40.
and 40 minutes.
Well, yeah, because we don't. we're
I
there-
like the college years.
Well,
we
here's- that's
we
why-
have some moments.
Here's why, Mark. It's a period piece. We want the period. We don't want 1990
We want the period.
current
That's
Forrest
correct.
Gump. I don't want to know what's happening now.
Yeah, I
There's
don't want
nothing good.
What'd you say? You don't want. What'd you
Ooh,
say?
you know what? You know what I sneaky do like though. I like 1970 whatever New Year's Eve.
Oh,
That ain't too bad.
okay,
No,
time out.
you know why?
Yes. Shout out to Jordan Jones. Every New Year's Eve, he sends out a GIF of Lieutenant Dan sitting sad at the bar with confetti everywhere that just says
All
Happy
over
New
his
Year's.
face.
And it
Old
does get
Lang
it.
Syne is maybe the saddest song
Ah,
Yeah.
when it shouldn't
he
be
was-
though, because it's the meaning of a new year. But I always think it's the saddest fucking song.
Yeah.
just
It's the tempo.
the tempo.
It's,
The timbre,
It's
dude, just
the-
the hell of it.
There's a lot
It's
about
the
the tempo,
letdown
the key, maybe.
it's the crashing of your expectations of the night. You're like, oh, it didn't happen. And this is reflective of my life and the new year ahead of us. I'm going to kiss a stranger now.
Yeah,
Thank you. Question and animosity. What are those braces on his legs helping to do with his back? And animosity, they're not helping his back.
I'll feel this. Make him an All-American fucking football player, Cameron. Maybe one of the most successful people in All-American history.
His back is supposed to be as crooked as a question mark, and he has leg braces. Give
as crooked as a politician too.
Give that boy a back
we're only
brace.
60. We're only 60 years before people putting leeches on somebody. So give him a goddamn break. It's Greenbow, Alabama.
Here's exactly what I have written.
He's the doctor for everything,
He's
Cameron.
definitely not breaking out of those leg braces. Not a shot. In what appears to be red high top Doc Martens.
Yep. Stiff docs.
Stiffies.
Well, if he is, Mark, it's going to end with just like of him on the ground just in pain because he fell out of his braces.
Did it go unnoticed that to become great, you do have to get bullied?
In most films, yeah. I mean, overcome adversity, yeah.
That's not.
Helps.
That's why you never will be great.
I'm well loved and liked by everybody, and here I am flailing as an adult.
Question, let's just break into it. How do we feel about Jenny's character?
And I do hate her, but we do have to remember that she got the SA word, at least sexually assaulted, we assume, by her dad, right?
Yeah, pretty rough.
The M word, molested, something. Is she taking advantage of Forrest Gump?
That, I think, is the biggest question.
For sure.
Well, especially at the end, it seems so more because, like, she doesn't have any options.
There's
She's hit
nothing
rock bottom.
unattractive about Forrest.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Jenny.
His IQ.
Yeah.
His IQ.
Every time he opens his mouth.
Yeah.
And says
Okay. So there's
sentences.
155 things unattractive about Forrest.
I believe he had an
Just his personality.
He had an IQ of 75, I believe.
Can't be correct.
I messed up. Oh, I did have a question. This is all time. Went completely over my head as a kid the first time I saw this movie.
Okay.
And probably the second couple times.
Yeah, maybe me
it's
too.
It's when Forrest's mom
Has sex.
gets it. Yeah, I didn't know they were having sex. Did you? The
I
first time you saw
never
that?
got that.
Oh,
as
when
a
he
kid.
kind of like he moans.
like that part.
For me, it was the.
I don't believe Forrest knew either.
You knew Forrest, no, didn't you?
No, judging by the fact that he ejaculated in his pants when Jenny took off her top, he had no idea what was going on.
I'm glad you brought that up since he was telling us everything and we got to take him at his word. Did he only have 2 ejaculations his whole life?
That he told at least a woman on a park bench about.
I'm only familiar of one.
Well, he had the premature ejaculation.
Mature. Sure.
And then we assumed to make Forrest 2.
Which wasn't on camera, right?
That was not on camera, no.
Implied stripping.
And that brings up a great point. Are we getting Maury Povich involved? I don't think that Forrest is going to bring up paternity.
Not my kid.
But can we just trust that that's his kid?
No, we can't. No, we can't.
Well,
I don't trust it at all.
She's
I'm happy
had a-
for him.
She's been writing songs about it left and right.
she's had a pretty rough and tumble life, and she's
Don't
been
know.
intravenous drug use.
Jen A's fine.
I could see that being some other people's kids.
It's not her fault, though.
No,
It's not her
not
fault.
intentionally, but she's also showing Forrest kindness by treating him kind of like regular people. But the sex stuff at the end gets weird.
Well, I guess the real question is, though, I think Jenny's
You felt
character...
like it's a charity case.
I don't think that.
No,
I thought
Cameron
about that.
does. Cameron does.
I think she has feelings for Forrest, right?
Yeah.
I think she does
I
love
think she
him.
does. I think she loves him.
yeah,
think
she's
right?
Yeah, but it's just she doesn't want to love him.
I know, but
Yeah, no,
she
no one
tried a
wants
lot
to-
of other places. She tried the disco era. She tried the LSD. You know, she was chasing the dragon, and all roads led back to Greenbow, Alabama.
You're not running through the mall. What's that? The mirror pond.
Oh,
the reflection pond.
If you're not on DMT or some sort of mushrooms. Tell you
she
what.
was on stuff. I do have a question though. We assume that she has HIV or AIDS, right? And that's what she dies from. That's
I
what
did.
we're led to
Well,
believe.
I did want to talk about that because I feel like
I didn't grasp. I didn't gather that. I
okay,
didn't.
time out. Let's rewind this a second because I always assumed.
Yeah, that's at the way end. You
lead
can
me
go
there.
back.
I just always assumed this as a kid that she says she has an uncurable disease, and as a kid, I always assumed it was just trying to reflect and touch on the AIDS crisis that would have been big. At
I
the
thought they
time.
did double cancer,
Well, that's just it.
which
Well, I feel like-
seemed
but-
odd. Which seems odd.
But why wouldn't she? But that's the whole thing. Why wouldn't she just say, "I have cancer"? Like that's an understandable thing. She has. I have an uncurable.
Now I'm getting it.
disease.
Now I'm getting it. Yeah.
I feel like it was implied by the drug use that they didn't have a cure, and it was like the late 80s, early 90s at the time she was coming to Forrest. And the real question is, does Forrest number 2 have AIDS?
Or Forrest number
Like-
1.
Ooh, I actually have a question about that. There is a small chance because we don't know
Forrest number 1.
Well, we don't know who Forrest
Hold
had
on.
sex with, and he was at least introduced through Lieutenant Dan to women of the night, if not just like floozies.
Oh, that's true. Did he give
Is there
her...
a chance that he gave her AIDS and he's just impervious to it because he's so great?
Possibly. Actually, I've never thought about that, but you bring up
What
a
if
very
Forrest
good point.
gave her AIDS? What if that's how
You
she
know,
got AIDS?
Jordan, you were flipping the script on this because for years I kind of resented her because I always
That
thought
can't be right.
she maybe
Don't flip the script on Forrest, guys.
I always-
Don't do that.
I always thought that she kind of knowingly had unprotected sex with him, that she had a disease and that's why she was there. But
no.
maybe she was the downfall.
I thought it was the
He
double
down-
C word.
I thought he was the downfall, maybe cancer. Okay.
No, I'm pretty sure
crazy.
she did drugs and had a lot of. In Jenny's defense, though, nobody had protected sex back then unless you were a sailor.
True.
You know what I mean?
How many Dr. Peppers is too many Dr. Peppers? And I'll tell you, it's
than 2.
definitely 15.
More than 2,
It's
you're
too
asking
many.
for problems, honestly.
You're asking the wrong question. You forgot the word complimentary,
Free.
Dr.
Free Dr.
Peppers.
Peppers.
And then
In
at
the
the
glass bottle?
White House. At the White House.
15, Jordan. 15 beers
lot.
is too
It's
many
a lot.
beers.
I believe that man's got to pee.
15
You know,
waters.
it came back to get him.
Yeah, he said he's
It didn't go. It didn't go unpunished, Mark. You know, like he got his. He really had to pee.
5 is diabolical.
You know what I think the biggest problem is outside the how bad you have to pee, tummy ache. You got a lot of
Tummy
sugar.
ache.
It's a tummy ache. Tummy ache 101.
Too much
And
alcohol.
I'm led to believe that Forrest got himself into a bunch of tummy aches throughout his life. Just eyes bigger than his stomach. You know what I mean? I would assume so. You know, I've been there. We've all been there.
Unless you're collecting pop tabs, like, why are we doing it?
Quick question, because this always confused me when I was younger. Did anyone else have this? The scene when Lieutenant Dan finds God and starts back floating off the boat.
Oh, yeah.
When I was a kid,
Where's he going?
I thought he was going out to ocean and dying. For some reason, I
dying. I know. I thought today I thought he died.
I always interpreted that
And then
as
he
like
came back.
He's like, "Hey, Forrest, thanks for everything. I found peace. I'm going to go meet God now."
I've got
That's
my
why
piece
I'm
with
telling
God.
you guys. This movie could be 40 minutes shorter. Let him
Would always
back
confuse
float out
me
to
at the
death.
end. I'm like, I was always like, "How did Dan come back at the end with a wife?" It's like, didn't he?
Dan-
It just blows my mind after his mom dies. Like, just go back to Dan in the fishing boat. You have a great life there. Like, cool. You have a great historic house, but like, why be just the groundskeeper in Greenbow, Alabama, when you can go to your boat?
Because he's a
Jenny?
simple man. He's just simple.
Also, Cameron,
That's all
what
there is
I'm
to
not
it.
realizing until I guess just today was that I thought his estate, his whole business, his money came from Bubba Gump, shrimping. And it
I
did.
do believe he made a good
It came
fortune
from
it,
Apple.
but it was investment.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's how you
And
grow
that's-
wealth.
That's Dan?
That was Dan's
That's all
doing.
Dan,
Yeah.
baby.
That's Dan.
Crazy
That's Dan.
old Dan just really
Crazy old Dan
He
just
somehow
took a long shot.
Yeah, yeah, and it paid off huge. Crazy. He
put
really
his-
does.
He
Owe
put all his money on Mystic Dan.
most of his fortune is coming. Question for you guys: Was Lieutenant Dan life better or worse after Forrest left the boat and never came back?
Better.
Okay.
You got a wife and legs.
True. Okay. Sorry. Yep.
Well,
good
you
question.
tell me,
Yep.
and way richer. And as much as I do believe he,
And is wearing linen.
I will say this: I do believe that through the troubles and tribulations and getting filthy fucking rich, I think he learned to love Forrest.
True.
I think he kind of turned that page with him, and he felt. Well, I mean, Forrest saved his life, but I think he, on top of that, Lieutenant Dan, which I'll be honest, I always assumed Dan was just his last name. Dan's his first name,
Taylor.
and this may be the
Lieutenant
first.
Dan
it's
Taylor.
Dan Taylor, and I never knew that. I
Do we
just
know that?
Yeah,
We
he
don't
says
know
it.
that.
Yep,
They
they
say it all the
I
time.
looked at it. They say it a lot.
all the time.
Anyway, I do believe Lieutenant Dan loved Forrest, and we obviously know Forrest loved Lieutenant Dan because Mark, he knows what love is.
That's true. He does. Also, just a kind of funny thought. Hey, that boat survived so many crashes of him just jumping off it, man. Like, that boat should not have survived the
Hey,
hurricane.
Cameron, that's why it made it through the hurricane. It is indestructible. Like, how many docks did it already take out? That's how you get rid of the competition.
Yeah, that's why they were having so many problems. They were fixing the fucking boats.
I connected the dots. Is the only reason they caught a lot of shrimp is because there were no more boats.
Yeah, this is the
that's
first time it's ever dawned on me. The only reason they had success is because the monopoly of shrimp boats were taken out by a hurricane. And while crazy Lieutenant Dan's going, "You can't take us down," while that's happening, they create an empire.
I'll be honest. That sequence of Lieutenant Dan calling out God might be my favorite part of the movie. Like, I love that part so much. When he's up there just going nuts.
We're not talking about the ping pong era too much. No, it's crazy.
No, nobody has. And okay, I actually have a question. After I learned that this was based on a book, and I apologize, I didn't know it before we did it for this podcast.
Right.
There was some storylines they left out, and can you think of some things you'd like to add? I think that replace ping pong. Get Forrest in the Olympics. I don't know what he's doing, but I could take that.
He's running.
Why did I think he made it to the Olympics?
Because he's representing the USA.
That's why.
Like, he has
USA
it on his
stuff.
chest.
Yeah.
I was about to say,
That's
he kind
it.
of does in no sense,
Yeah.
but just for ping pong,
Yeah, but wouldn't
we
someone?
get there.
Although that would have been a lot to squeeze in.
Forrest Gump is a movie you like watch every year. You know what I mean?
No.
It's a movie you kind of like have seen 2 times, and
Hear me
it's
out.
good.
Hear me out, though.
It's really good.
Oh, I've
and
seen it.
fun.
I've seen it upwards of 5 to 10 times. But I'll say this: it's kind of a 4th of July movie because it's America,
Okay.
Americana
America.
history. So sometimes it's around there.
This
Yeah,
is a
maybe
good
more
old
than 2, sorry,
fashioned,
but-
for our age group and probably the demographic that listens to our podcast. This is a syndicated TBS TNT movie that's just in the background. I mean, this and shot maybe everything from 1994 to be honest, but
Yeah,
like
possibly.
I'll tell you what, you're not sticking around though for New Year's Eve. But if you get it in Vietnam, you're gonna watch that couple.
You're
scenes.
gonna hang in there.
Do you want to hear one of the biggest animosities I've had from the first time I've seen this movie? And I can't believe we've allowed it to happen. It has nothing to do with the characters. It's when they're landing in Vietnam and they're jumping off the helicopter, somebody has a red duffel bag, and it pisses me off so much. Camouflage your duffel bags. We got Charlie and snipers everywhere. Lieutenant Dan brings it up.
I've never noticed that, honestly.
Maybe I'm going crazy, but go back.
Do you know what I was thinking about this time that I've never really thought about? After Forrest Mothers dies and he just felt like running, he abandons his house for upwards of a year and a half. Like, he's going to come back. At best case scenario, it's in shambles because it's Alabama, it's humid, it's been a lot of rain. But more importantly, there's going to be just weird hippie squatters in his house that he's going to have to deal with. He was gone. He didn't lock the doors. He just jogged away.
He just left.
And yeah, he just left for a long period of time.
No, you're right.
Yeah, 2
You're right,
years.
Cameron.
They said 2 years and 9 months.
Yeah, never really thought about it before, but like he just like he didn't pay taxes. He didn't do a lot of regular things you got to do.
We assumed though by that time, because he was already financially sound and a CEO, I assumed that he had
Someone's doing his
obviously
finances.
his business partner was Lieutenant Dan. But
Oh, Mark, you wanna talk about Forrest Gump smelling bad? It's the 2 years that his khaki pants slowly become cut off shorts in his like polo shirt just lose the sleeves.
here's the question: if you're
No,
going
he
for
had to cut those, right? He cut them. So at some
if you're
point,
going for Halloween, what version of Gump are you doing?
The running, maybe. Probably, honestly, just the high school red hat, blue.
red hat, slacks, the Cortez
I would
Nikes.
do the bench. I would do the suit. The linen suit,
you do the
Nikes.
bench look.
I do Forrest Jr. and I'd have the braces and I'd do the running scene everywhere.
You know what could have solved that? Just a little therapy. Are you sad your mom's dead and all your other friends? It's like, yeah, maybe I was right. Talk to somebody in need. He worked his way through it. I can tell you what, in 2.5 years, none of us are going to have that beard and that flow. It's not going to happen.
I'll tell you what, in 10 years, I'll never have that beard.
Yeah, that's true. Me either.
He just shows up this whole movie is him just showing up at Jenny's doorstep from a letter. He doesn't call first. She's clearly just getting off work. The fact that this timed up so perfectly is great. Really, Jordan, you're asking how long has he been on the bench? Days trying to just show up at the door and not catching her at the right time. It's insane that he traveled without calling first.
That seems like Forrest Gump 101.
Yeah, but it's insane.
That's super
It's insane behavior.
Oh, I did think about this. So I thought about how awful it would be to be on a bench, be in a public place, and be next to anybody that talks to you, but specifically somebody like this who just won't shut up about their stories.
Right.
he should have been on a plane that you couldn't get away from him.
I know in Chicago, there's down the block, there's another stop.
Yeah, I can find
I'm
my
gonna
stop.
sit there.
You're like, oh, I'm just getting out.
I'm gonna just
get
pop a squat
But
right
smaller
there.
cities, like, where do we assume they're in? I don't remember if they said the city.
Savannah, I believe, at that point.
Savannah's probably got a less
Aren't
bus
they?
system than Chicago, right? They're probably
Yeah.
spread out a little bit more.
Yeah, that
I
always
think.
trips me out. Yeah,
But I'll
Just
still
Cedar
wait down
Rapids?
the block, and when I see it coming, I'll jog back.
Oh,
up.
I
You
don't
know
wanna-
who's the one I agree with the most? The patrons that listens to him, but also I'm like, what are you fucking doing? It's, we were sitting next to a millionaire. That guy just gets up and leaves. I'm like, come on, man. You were just waiting for the bus. Where are you going?
Maybe just having lunch on a bench. We don't know that. We don't know what he was doing.
Yeah, we don't. Probably cheating on his wife.
Maybe he just goes to that park and ridicules strangers all the time. Maybe that's his thing. Okay, biggest quotes out of this movie. Here's what I'm going to say mine are. Life is like a box of chocolates.
Yep.
And the
Classic.
run, Forrest, run.
Run,
After
Forrest,
that,
run.
anytime
Any
anyone runs
Gen
now,
A
people say,
is good.
Jenny.
Gen A.
I'll tell you what, I honestly, my favorite cadence is it's Lieutenant Dan. Or Lieutenant, mine's Lieutenant Dan. It's like Lieutenant Dan, ice cream. Like, I love that.
new
quote.
legs.
Because I was a gazillionaire. I cut the grass for free. Still just surprised. Like, Gump lived 1,000 lives. He was a part of the...
And Mark, that was just with the first book. We didn't even scratch the surface of his adventures.
Yeah, understood.
Crazy.
How do you feel like the special effects aged?
Oh, the mouth.
Specifically,
It's the mouth thing. At the time, it was groundbreaking. We're like, whoa, we're pasting moving mouths on old people.
Oh, I thought
but
they
like,
did great.
it's so laggy now. It's just like
pretty-
a puppet. It's just
it?
up
it's
and
a little
down.
rougher.
They don't even give a shit. Yeah, it looks like someone's just moving a
It's
hand in there at whatever pace they want.
I actually think John Lennon's is the worst.
It might be.
It's rough.
This is a few years before we were blown away by that scene from Titanic of the deck going around, that looks like a PlayStation scene
I
now.
still don't think this is aged as badly as Titanic. That one was rough.
Let us know what you think about the whole Jenny relationship, how that's aged now, whether or not she had AIDS. On that note, do you guys want to move it on to recasting?
Sure.
Let us know some of your favorite things from Forrest Gump, some things you think we should have talked about. But we're going to move it on to recasting. Recasting. Jordan, you have something to add from the last category?
Oh yeah. I like how the movie ends with Forrest 2 getting on the bus and it's the same bus driver.
Yeah.
And it made me realize
She hasn't aged
not a
much.
life worth lived, bus driver. Like Forrest Gump's done all the things and you're still fucking taking his kid. What a loser.
Jordan, we don't know what she's doing in not bus driving times and like the school summer, summer.
I think we do. I think this is the sister movie to her character in Men in Black. I think she's just going home and dealing with her husband. Parallel universe.
On that note, let's move it up to recasting here. Pretty tight cast. Let's start with Mama. I had two options, so I'm going to wait. Who'd you guys have?
I'll go first because I actually like mine, and I did miss this. What's the actual age difference between Sally Fields?
Oh,
and
it was 10 years. They were 10 years difference.
which makes sense. I'm going Jessica Lange.
Oh, yeah, she was one of my options. I think she's
Nice,
a great
thank you.
one. Yeah.
I think that's actually perfect. Maybe better.
The other mom I had as an option was Susan Sarandon because I kind of put her and...
She's in my wheelhouse for sure.
Yeah, okay. Mark, what do you got in there?
I've got Laura Dern.
Oh, I can
Ooh,
see
I
Laura
like that
Dern
too.
in that actually.
Yeah, all good.
Hear me out. I was thinking Kathy Bates randomly too, but I think I'm weirdly thinking The Water Boy.
So Kathy Bates entered my head, but I just can't take the scene with the principal.
Oh, yeah. Okay, sure.
Actually, maybe I'm into it more. I don't know. Yeah, but I think you're thinking Waterboy and other type roles where she's like not over.
Southern
Forrest's
mama.
mom isn't overbearing, but
No. But yeah.
Anyway,
Bubba, mine are weird kind of because I was going off the what if castings where I know they were kind of looking at comedians.
so the ultimate one that we've always heard is
Dave Chappelle, yeah.
Dave
I mean,
Chappelle.
that's
So
not
I
much a
excluded
secret.
him. Yeah.
Yeah. But Will Smith, I just did another major actor comedian that could have been in there as a what if, but it's
Kid
kind of-
Cudi for me.
Oh, you know what?
Ooh.
He's actually kind of fun in acting right now, so that works for me.
That's
Yeah.
way better.
Yeah.
I don't like Will Smith. He's like too big of a star.
Then you wouldn't have liked my second. I was going to go Jamie Foxx. I don't know.
Or like a Tyrese Gibson.
Yeah, I mean,
I went Forrest Whitaker, and I don't feel good about any of it. I actually like Kid Cudi the best.
yeah, I actually like Kid Cudi the most too.
in a weird way. Like I was having trouble with him. I had a lot of trouble with Forrest.
Oh, I had a ton of trouble with Forrest.
The cup runneth over with Lieutenant Dan.
Oh yeah. Speaking of which, Lieutenant Dan, Gary Oldman,
Ooh.
right? Kind of interesting. Gary Oldman.
I don't actually mind Gary Oldman. He can do accent work, so that's not bad.
I've seen him fail at accent work too, so you know,
That's true.
Ed Harris feels very
interesting.
Good.
I could see him as a
That's not a bad
lieutenant.
one.
I'm not sure I can see the wackiness is where I might lose it a
Mr.
bit.
Dan. You can't see him as the wacky.
Although-
Okay.
Yeah.
Although time out though, he does get intense, but his is scarier. I could see him yelling at God on the top of a boat. You know what I mean? I just don't know if it's going to be as
okay.
Less wacky.
heartwarming. Yeah, it's going to be scarier than
Okay.
than like
So I'll do my first one, right? I went Michael Shannon.
okay. I like him a lot, and I try to cast him all the time.
I went Sam Rockwell, but I use him way too much. And then this one you're not gonna like because I use him too much. Michael Keaton. I also think he'd fucking kill as Lieutenant Dan. And I'll be quiet now.
Then you'd maybe like my other Kevin Costner as an option.
I don't like Kevin Costner. I can't see him being a hippie. Okay, Forrest Gump. I actually feel horrible. You got more Lieutenant Dan's?
No, we got Jenna. We're not moving on straight to Forrest. Charlize Theron,
Oh, that's pretty good actually. Dang,
Southern
that's way
Belle,
better than mine.
right? Even though she's from South Africa.
Well, she's from South Africa, but Cameron, she's an actress. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Like if she
plays
only
the Southern
played
Belle
South
a lot.
African roles, she would have only been in
Janai.
Invictus. I went Kate Hudson, and it's
Okay.
mainly off of Almost Famous.
I don't hate that.
I don't love it though. I'll be honest.
All right. Rachel McAdams.
That feels good
sure.
too.
Hear me out. I
Jenna.
was going to put in a Jennifer and a Jenny. I was going to put Jennifer Connelly there, but it kind of doesn't work for me for some reason.
She doesn't for whatever. She feels too serious.
No, that doesn't
Yeah.
feel right.
But so
Yeah.
does Robin Wright. Robin Wright is very stoic.
That's true. I thought about Heather Graham as well.
Okay.
But
Maybe too
she's
bubbly,
kind of-
too bubbly.
Yeah, something. Okay.
Forrest.
I did Matt Damon, and I feel bad, and I don't feel good about anything.
Are you doing this because of Team America's Matt Damon?
Nope. I just had no
Yeah.
reason. I'll tell you a weird one I have afterwards, and you can tell me if I'm right.
Unfortunately, that's
Do you want to hear it?
that's my top pick. But
I might be able
do
to sway
something
you
else.
guys. What do you got, Mark?
Matt
Is
Damon.
Matt Damon your what? So I think it's because they have to be a movie star too.
Hear me out, though. I think I got something interesting here. Bill Paxton and or Dennis Quaid.
Dennis Quaid, I don't like at all.
Bill Paxton kind of works for me, though, right?
Bill Paxton kind of works, right? But the problem is, yeah, I don't know. I get the voice.
Say it.
He's
say
going to
it.
play it too slow, maybe, and it's not going to be charming enough.
I don't know. Yeah, like
He is funny and charming, but you got to play a fine line of it. It has to be heartwarming and not just feeling
Do
sorry.
you want to
for
hear
him.
a weird one that I thought about, but I didn't feel good about it?
I think Leo's got it.
I thought about that too.
I think Leo.
Well,
I think,
Steven
I
Gilbert Grape is for sure.
think
though.
he's got it.
But that's just it. Is it going to be too radio, too Cuba Gooding Jr.,
Yeah.
like straight performance, you know?
Adam Driver. Tell me, yeah or nay?
Yeah,
Too serious?
No, he's a good actor. He could do it. He is quirky and funny. Like White Noise, there's things where he kind of has like a weird humor. Like it could work.
It was tough for me to recast Forrest Gump. One, it's a very weird role, but two,
Yeah.
it's just iconically, it is Tom Hanks. And to see anybody else there, this movie could have not worked in so many ways, and in fact, I'm surprised that it did work.
Do you want to hear some crazy what ifs for Forrest Gump? I found a
Sure.
few different ones, but Zemeckis originally reached out to Bill Murray, John Travolta,
Don't like that. Like that less.
Chevy Chase.
Travolta, maybe.
That'd be
And-
such a weird movie. I'd love to see the Travolta cut. It'd give you the willies.
Bill Paxton was on the list, but here's the final one. I guess originally Gump is supposed to be 300 pounds in the novel, so they wanted John Goodman initially as well.
Gump as John Goodman would be
Gump as John-
insane,
It'd be
dude.
different.
That might work.
It could
that
work.
might actually work.
It'd be a different thing for sure.
Because I feel like his simple would come across more and heartwarming. It'd be tough to see him as a punt returner, but
On to Bubba, people that were also up for that role, David Allen Greer, Ice Cube, and then famously Dave Chappelle. and then also Tupac Shakur auditioned for the role of Bubba. And finally, the people for Jenny, the people that were up for it: Jodie Foster, Nicole Kidman. I could see that working. Younger Nicole Kidman. Demi Moore. She's not a great. That wouldn't have been great. But those were all the what ifs. Kind of a big list. Kind of all over the gamut too. But let us know what you thought of our recasting this week. Let us know if you think anyone else should have been in there. But next up, we're going to move it on to the Holy Trinity. The Holy Trinity. If you are new here, this is where we put a character actor, 3 to be particular, forcibly in this movie for better or for worse.
It's not necessarily a character actor because we have leading people, but it's
true.
like caricature actors.
Yeah, you know people you are always happy and surprised to see in a movie. So we're doing this 3. We did Keanu Reeves, Danny DeVito, and Jennifer Coolidge. They have to be in this movie. Mark, you get to go first. Where are you putting these 3 people?
Fuck, Danny DeVito. Where could he go?
I know mine for sure on him.
Danny DeVito is Lieutenant Dan.
Yeah,
He's Lieutenant Dan. Literally. Literally.
That's the only spot I could see him in.
So
and Jordan's
good.
shaking no, so I can't wait for what his take is. But
I love it because I want to see him as later in life to Lieutenant Dan in the 70s. Love it.
Sure.
Don't hate it, but I got a better spot for him. He's the principal, baby.
Oh.
I want to see him go in there, get his hump on, and then give a high five. Man, your mom sure wants you. Your mom sure wants you to get an education.
I got a wild card for you. He's just JFK. He's Johnson. He's John Lennon. We just put him in as any of them.
He's any
Any of the historical figures.
figure. You can't go wrong with DeVito in this one, but I just love him getting his hump on, coming out and be like, man,
I do not like that.
I love it.
That's
What
good.
I'm doing.
Love it.
All right. Up next, this seems like a throwaway, but Keanu Reeves. I'm guessing, Mark, who do you have him? Forrest Gump?
He's Gumpy. He's
Okay.
Gumpy.
He's gotta be good.
This one was a
gotta
bit
be.
of a give me. Yeah, I'm trying to think if he can be anybody else.
And if you're a fan of the podcast, and if you listen to all our episodes, you know we're a fan of Keanu before the John Wick resurgence. But unfortunately, he's got too dumb a voice already that it's.
Finally, we had Jennifer Coolidge in the mix. I mean,
Jordan?
there's really 2 roles we can place her in that are important. So, like, what do you
She
want?
got cancer, doesn't she?
She's Dorothy the bus driver.
Oh
No, she's not.
that's not bad. That's actually pretty good.
Oh,
That's
no,
actually
she's not.
perfect.
Oh wait, actually,
She's perfect there.
Oh, I have a good one. She's one of the New Year's Eve prostitutes.
Cameron's okay.
That'd be good, actually. Yeah,
That's not too shabby. Bus driver's not bad.
I-
but she'd have
I
fun.
don't mind one of the prostitutes.
She'd have fun as one of the prostitutes.
She's not the mom.
She could no, but she could be.
Do you feel like
She
she's
could
a mom?
be.
It could be just a
could be.
funnier
She
love
could
interest
be.
as a Jenny. This is what just like Tom Hanks, like Forrest Gump's in love with. Just southern.
If
bus driver
that
is
would make more
crazy,
sense
dude.
for the actual real Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
It's like, this is who I'm in love with, and it's her.
And it's Jennifer Coolidge doing her voice.
Dear God, make me a bird so I can fly far
away. Yeah, we have quite the list of what we were referred to as character actors, but if there are fun people you like seeing, Steve Buscemi, Nicolas Cage, people of this caliber that you want to see added to our Holy Trinity, make sure you write us in at coldclassicspodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to add some people to the list. Thanks for listening to our take on Forrest Gump. If you like what you heard, make sure you like and subscribe on your favorite podcast app, rate and review, all that good stuff. If you want more content from the Majestic Jam Network, hit up Urban Hermit for banter, I'm Not Crazy for true crime and conspiracy, and Highwire for music news. You can catch us on Twitch, YouTube. Make sure you check out the Majestic Jam Network. Until then, we'll catch you on the next one. Bye, 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 bye.